What's up, kinfolk? Welcome to the #1 ranked show. I'm your host, RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Thank you for watching or listening wherever it is that you consume the podcast, whether it is on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for continuing to ride with us as we get into the meat of our NFL draft interview series. Coming up now, Oklahoma former defensive end at Oklahoma, Isaiah Thomas. Now, I'm a little bit overzealous and excited about this for a number of reasons. A, most of you know I'm an Oklahoma fan. Most of you know I'm from Tulsa. What you probably didn't know is Isaiah and I both attended and graduated from the same high school at Tulsa Memorial. So this was a particular thrill to me. And I got to say, it's the most fun that I have had at all doing these NFL draft interviews. That's not to say that the rest aren't any good. It is to say that this one is very special to me. And that comes through in this interview where I talk with Isaiah about his time at Oklahoma. He gives us some really great insight into Lincoln Riley's exit the day of, what he felt, how he learned about it. It's really fascinating stuff. Talk about what it was like for him to take the leap in 2020 in Alex Grinch's defense and why he thought that he was in such a great position to do just that. This is one of my favorites. I hope you enjoy it. Let's talk to IT. I am pleased to be joined by former Oklahoma defensive end and NFL draft hopeful, my man from Tulsa, Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Glad to be on the show, man. Like you said, Tulsa born, Tulsa raised, man. Good to be here.
Hey, I appreciate you taking the time, and I want to talk a bit about your time at Oklahoma and what you expect from the NFL draft, hopefully in the NFL. But let's start with this. What did it feel like to be a Tulsa Memorial Charger and earn an offer to play at the University of Oklahoma?
It was initially it was really surreal. I remember when I got my first offer from the University of Mizzou, then it kind of like snowballed effect from then on. And I kind of, coming from, as we both, alumni from Tulsa Memorial. We don't have too many football guys make it out to go to D1. Like rarely ever any that go straight from high school to D1. So when it happened, it was a big surreal moment for me. Bob Stoops reaching out to me, invited me to that junior day that spring, and just kind of getting a relationship with Mike Stoops, Coach Thibodeau, and it was just a dream come true, really. Then, after a while, I kind of knew Oklahoma was the place for me. Just building that relationship, and obviously the success OU's had, and being an Oklahoma kid, it was like the biggest thing ever happened to me.
Hey, man, for the folks that don't know, like Memorial basketball school, right? That's what we do. It's real when we don't win the state championship, right? Shout out 2022. They went and got it done again. Did you ever think about playing basketball at Memorial?
So actually, I grew up loving I love football and basketball just as much, but I'm a big Dwayne Wade fan. I always wanted to play basketball. Like you said, Memorial is a powerhouse. I believe since Coach Allison has been there, it's been 9 seasons now. My freshman year was his first year, and he's won 5 since then. 5 out. So every other year he's going to win one, And so I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to make or break me. Like I'm gonna make it to the league. I quit growing at 6'5", and I'm not a big man at 6'5". I'm a guard, so I was like, this ain't for me. So. Fortunately, I was blessed enough to, grow into my body and, stand out on the football field and be recognized. So that's when football came that reality for me.
Hey, man, for real, though, like, people don't understand Russell Westbrook is 6'4", right? 6'5",
exactly.
You're enormous in football, right? In basketball,
exactly.
Especially at places like Memorial, you usually 6'7", 6'8", dudes
exactly.
stretch on you. But also, like, I'm going to go ahead and throw one in there. Coach Savage was my men's boys basketball coach when I was there. Right. Yes. And I'm going all the way back to Coach Sprague and whatnot. Now, there's lots to go on there at Tulsa Memorial. TPS kids standing up, dog.
Yeah.
To that point, do you feel Tulsa gets the credit it deserves for developing football talent, particularly Tulsa public school kids? Like you and Dax Hill, Dax going to Booker T, both up for the NFL draft this year.
Right. So I like that you said that because I feel like in recent history, Tulsa is getting more light shine on the production that they have coming out. Like you said, like Dax Hill and myself, then you have Union Public Schools, but Union is Union. So you're going to have those guys. But specifically in Tulsa Public Schools, I know I had guys in my class like Marcus Mays even come out, he went D1. Then you got Dax Hill, like you said, you got Justice Hill. So, you got a handful of guys, and there's even more that's coming out this year going D1. And I'm starting to feel like, it can get a little more, appreciation that Tulsa deserves as far as athletes coming out producing. But I think we're on a steady pace of that.
Man, you make it easy for me to really do that and get a jumping off point because I'll point to Tulsa public school kids because I am a Tulsa public school
Yeah,
kid. We'll throw Josh Jacobs in there out of McLean,
exactly.
right?
Right.
Right. But
Exactly.
you had Felix Jones coming from
Yes.
late. You had Robert Meacham. Like, we can keep going, is what I'm saying here. And
Right.
then I get the folks from Tulsa Union, Bixby, Owasso. They want to say
Yeah.
something, be about something. But I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. When you went to Oklahoma, that made me so happy because I'm an Oklahoma dude. But also,
Right.
to that point, you gotta really stand out at Memorial for somebody to come and even think you could play Division I football. So how did you first get the interest of even Missouri or anybody at that level?
Right. So a guy reached out to me on my Facebook December of 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And he said, "Hey man, like he was like, I looked up the guy, he was verified on Twitter, had like, 15, 20K followers. And I was like, okay, this guy's legit. He was like, yeah, I liked your film, can I get your huddle password to, rearrange some stuff around and, get your tape out there. First I was kind of skeptical about it. Then like I said, I did a little research. I was like, man, this guy, he seems legit. So, I was like, why not, take a chance. And so, I did that. Then, like a month later, a guy with the Football Brainiacs reached out to me. And he was saying, like, schools are interested in me and whatnot. And still at this time, I'm like, okay, it's just talk, nothing's official till it's official. Then next thing you know, February of 2016, or 2015 or so, I get a DM on Twitter, said, hey, call this number. Coach Jackie Shipp from the University of Missouri wants to offer you a scholarship. I'm in Algebra 2 right now. I'm freaking out. I'm like, what? And asked my teacher, could I go out and make the phone call? Talked to him for about 40 minutes or so. And, next thing you know, I had an offer. And later on that day, I got 3 more offers. And it just kind of went on from there.
Nah, man, that's what's up. First, Coach Shipp with the Oklahoma connection, used to be defensive line coach for Coach Stoops. But also in there, just the little nugget of being able to rearrange huddle film, right? And knowing what that can do for your profile. So let's jump ahead, right? Let's get to 2020 at Oklahoma. You had a breakout year, 13 tackles for loss, 8.5 sacks. You played both defensive end and defensive tackle in what was supposed to be a slim down, faster, quote unquote speed D, right, under Coach Grinch. How did you acclimate to that system, and why do you think you had such a great 2020?
So I know first and foremost, it starts off like mental. When people say the game is 90% mental, that is wholeheartedly 100% true. Because as you followed me for a while. Early in my career, I didn't have much playing time or success, and it's not because I didn't have the physical attributes. Because I was roughly the same size I was in 2019 as I was in 2020. Then with the hire of Coach DeMar came, and I got to give him a lot of praise, man. I mean, he came in that spring. Then as you know, Ronnie Perkins was suspended the first half of the season in that 2020 season. Coach Kane came up to me, got to know me a little bit that first time I met him. Then the next day, or like the next time we had a real conversation was before the first day of spring ball. And Coach Kane straight up told me, he said, hey, man, he said, I don't care what the narrative was in the past about you not playing much or all this and that. He said, who's to say Ronnie Perkins has to start when he gets back? And that hit me. Ronnie Perkins was a full-out dog. I mean, play after play, his freshman year, sophomore year, dog. So I'm like, dang, I was like, either he don't know who Ronnie Perkins is, or he got real faith that I can do this. So next thing you know, that just clicked mentally for me. I was like, I was like, man, he's right. Like I'm here for a reason, and I'm gonna prove to these people why. Then, I got to give a lot of credit to Coach Grinch and Coach Riley because after that 2019 season, Coach Riley sat me down and also was like, like you need to figure out who you want to be. Like we see flashes of this, but we also see this. And then Coach Grinch also invested in me. So in how Grinch's scheme was, obviously, getting penetration, getting in the backfield. Obviously, people have their opinions on it, but it helped me out to get to me where I am now. So definitely those things keyed into why I had that success in 2020.
Hey man, shout out to Coach Kane, who is a real one. My interactions with him have always been on the level, and I'm grateful that he came up to you do that. One, because yes, Ronnie was that dude. And also because, hey, it didn't feel like there was a lot of depth there because we didn't get to see you. And I understand how that can feel for some folks because we only see what we see and hear what we hear.
Right.
So for you to tell this story a couple years after is a big deal to me. When did you realize that Perion Winfrey was going to be on the level of a Ronnie Perkins?
So it was that fall camp. So, and this is kind of that transition to how I played D tackle as well. So we're in fall camp and whatnot. And, this is COVID. This is peak COVID for the football season. Guys are dropping like flies. I mean, all of our D tackles are out except for like one. And me, me loving the game of football, Coach Tibbs always told me, he gave me a little nugget. He said, always know more than your position because it adds value to your work. And so I'm watching film. I know DN. I mean, I can still run our defense to this day. And I was all right. I got my position down. Let me look at the D tackle, see what they do, just to pick up on stuff. And one day, we had a bunch of guys out. Coach Grinch walks up to me, and this is a true story. I think Coach Grinch even told it. Coach Grinch walked up to me in pre-practice, like the period before inside run and team run. Just comes up to me out of nowhere, had no warning. He said, "Hey man, you think you can play some D tackle today?" I'm like, "Oh yes sir, yeah for sure." I'm like, that's what I'm saying. But on the inside, I'm like, "Oh dang, here we go." Like I just started getting the ball rolling at D end. I'm finally starting doing my thing. Now I got to play that position. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I knew I could do it mentally. And now, I knew I could do it physically, but mentally, could I carry all that capacity of knowing the guy next to me and stuff? And to get back to where you were saying, this is how I knew Perrion Winfrey was that dude. Perrion Winfrey, he didn't know the playbook too well because obviously it was his first season there and stuff. And for him and like when coach says, if you mess up going full speed. He was in the backfield every play. Like it got to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to run the call if I can do that. Then obviously, me and Perrion are different, And him being so gifted physically came natural to him. And then him being with me, we meshed into that mental game to where we could like do dummy calls, but we knew the real call. So that definitely benefited me at D tackle and him also as being the dominant figure he was.
Nah, man, it's great to hear you say that because one of the things that we say in my business, and I hope it's in every business, but specifically in mine, is fake it till you make it, right? Which is to say, hey, look, you take every opportunity that's given to you, you figure it out on the fly, and you were able to do that. And also to that point about make your mistakes full speed, like that what translates to go all the way, whatever it is you do it.
I swear that was the definition of him in that fall camp. And he fine-tuned things up in the season. And obviously there was times I didn't run the exact thing or whatnot. And then there were things Perrion didn't run perfectly, or Nick Benito or Ronnie Perkins, but you couldn't tell at times because like we made the play or it was so fast and physical. You're like, wow, that was a great call, all this and that. And so if you mess up going full speed.
One of the things that I took from Coach Grinch in that 2020 season was twofold. One, in the way that Baylor was able to play, right? And even going back to 2019 in that Big 12 championship game, he was saying, look, first, I'm trying not to screw this up for them because apparently y'all playing out of y'all mind. And the second thing that I took from him was, hey, whatever they're doing, I'm telling them to split everybody and get into the backfield.
Yes.
Now, knowing what the defense was before he got there and what y'all were being asked to do, how freeing was it for you to know, hey, all I got to do is get into the backfield as opposed to holding people up?
Yeah, so that was a real eye opener for me because like I knew a lot of football and whatever, but I knew like 4-3-3-4, but I never knew like true schemes on like what coaches would specifically want. So with Mike Stoops, that's all I knew. So when Coach Grinch came into the scheme, and like he would like get mad at you, like quit playing in the blocks, like like know your job, know the gap that you got, and get in the backfield. I'm like, that's it. Like it sounds easier than what it actually is, but that's really all it is. Really, it's like I got the B gap, so I was like, I'm gonna do everything I can to get to this B gap, and I'm not gonna let you stop me, and I'm not gonna sit there on the line of scrimmage doing what I'm not supposed to do. And that's how easy it was, man. And like Grinch said, man, we were like dogs off the leash, man. Like that 2020 season, it was Ronnie Perkins, Perrion Winfrey, me, and Nick Benito, man, and it was just dogs off a chain. Like we just running, flying in the backfield, and so that was the biggest difference I felt that with that defense was, and why I had so much success.
It's a lot of fun to watch, man. It's a lot of fun to watch. I need to ask, on this 2022 team, who are you most excited to see take the leap forward on defense?
Well, I got two guys in mind. I know for sure Jalen Redmond. Me and Jalen Redmond, best friends, man. My roommate still to this day, and where we stay at, man. I know for him, he has such natural, gifted ability. He didn't start playing football until he was 17. And he's just so gifted and so blessed physically with his attributes on the field and whatnot. But only thing that I dislike is how he's just like hasn't been the healthiest when it comes to it. Because he has still yet to just be healthy for a full season. 2019 was a great season for him, but his shoulder was messed up, and he had the blood clots before that. And this last season, he had the injury in his knee. So I'm definitely looking forward to see what Jalen Redmond can do in a complete season of full health, and especially under Brent Venables. So that's definitely what I'm looking forward to. And I honestly, I got a dark horse on a guy that I'm looking forward to, man. It's Danny Stutzman, man. I am truly looking. And I say that because, you have guys like Billy Bowman and David Awebu and, Keyshawn Lawrence. So stuff like guys who are expected to, do what they're supposed to do. But Danny, this is his second year, and he'll be behind Deshaun White and David Awebu. But I swear, man, playing in that Texas game this last season with that kid, I'm like, there's a light under this kid that needs to be lit, man, and I can definitely see it in him. So I'm definitely excited to see what Danny Stutzman can do with the opportunities that he's given. So, and definitely like some like a guy that I see in myself. Obviously, he played a lot more early in his career than I did, but seeing like the leap that he can make, I definitely see a little bit of myself in that.
Hey man, like Danny is a fan favorite. Number one, number two. When
Yes.
I got to speak with him, I was having such a great time, and he was recapping how he was being recruited during COVID, and they showed him this big picture, these muscle cars. His daddy is very much like for real. That's his thing, right? That's what he's on.
Yeah.
But it's also exciting to hear that you, being an elder statesman, have the same sort of faith in these dudes years afterwards. I need to ask, what is the most memorable win of your 5-year career at Oklahoma?
Memorable win. Okay, I got a couple. I know for sure down 28-3 against Baylor, hands down, best. Like Baylor's atmosphere that game was phenomenal, and just the level of intensity that it took to come back from 28-3. And the funny and true story is that week the presentation was about how overcoming adversity, and we actually watched the little short film documentary clip of the Falcons and the Patriots when they were up 23 on the Patriots. Next thing you know, we did the same thing. So that was the biggest coincidence I ever been a part of. But that win right there, and definitely last year against Texas, against when we were down 21-0 in the first quarter, coming back and winning. Those two were definitely my most memorable wins for sure.
So IT gonna go ahead and pick the 2 games to give me high blood pressure right now. I need my pressure points. I was not okay. I was not okay, dog. Like with that 28-3, and then when it was within reach, right?
Yeah.
That was when I was really not okay. And of course, we had the 21-0 against Texas. Ain't nobody happy then. I mean, y'all ain't happy. We ain't happy. And then Texas fans definitely weren't happy at the end. I was having such a good time.
They were pissed, and it was hot, man. But we won.
So, well, and on that, right? What's the most memorable loss?
Memorable loss. I'll probably pick 2 from that one as well. I'll probably say last year against Oklahoma State, man. That was devastating, and just the weight that held, obviously, with the transition to Coach Riley and the coaching staff, and so everything ties into that loss. And I think a lot of guys would probably say that was probably like the most memorable, simply because it turned out to be a great game, but simply everything else that really trickled in. And definitely my number one is the Rose Bowl 2018 or 2017, my freshman year. That was my most memorable loss. That game was amazing to me. I'm on this, I'm a red shirt, so I'm just watching. Like, I ain't got no other obligations. I ain't got special teams to worry about, nothing. So I'm just a fan. That game right there, oh my gosh. That was my most memorable loss. I had fun. I had fun. We lost. I'm on the plane like, wow, man, that was amazing. Trying to keep it all in, but we just lost. But definitely that 2017 Rose Bowl.
Hey, look, man, I'm watching that one at an old apartment, and I'm in tears because it just not like for real. I saw them lay out. I saw them do everything they possibly could do to win that game. Saw Baker play lights out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I was in tears. Only other time I would mention of the 2 that you mentioned is, of course, little thing 2019 against one LSU.
Oh my God, yeah, that's what, that really opened my eyes to that 2019 team, because we knew they were great, but I'm like, man, Joe can't be like this, and that was actually like the turning point carrying into my 2020 season. Like I said, when Ronnie Perkins got suspended, I think that was the most snaps. No, I know that was the most snaps I played up until my career. I had like 25, 26 snaps that game, so I had like meaningful, significant snaps. And playing against them, I was like, oh yeah, they the truth. Like they gonna win it all. Like Joe Burrow is that guy and stuff. So seeing everything that he does now makes me feel a lot better about our loss.
I learned so much more about that team than I thought. I thought I knew a bunch about that team, right?
Yeah.
And you've seen what they've been able to do since then. Burrow playing in the Super Bowl, Jamar Chase being that dude, Justin Jefferson being that dude, Clyde Edwards-Helaire being that. Somebody tried to roll up on Clyde Edwards-Helaire one time, and he told everybody what was you know the story. You roll up on him, he got the tool. Like what?
I do.
You don't want these problems with that dude. And he was indicative of that entire team, right? Yeah. And I just remember thinking, Jamar Chase can't be that guy, because Jamar Chase is at media day talking about, I want somebody to put their hands on me from Oklahoma. I want it to happen. I'm going, do you really?
Exactly. He did.
Look, I didn't think he was that good either. And you and I both came away thinking, okay, all right, I just watched one of the greatest college football teams of all time.
Yes.
It's cool. Yes. I just happen to be in their way. You know
exactly.
I mean? So go ahead.
No, yeah, I was like what you were saying. Like, I felt the same way. Like, prior to that, I'm like, okay, like you said, they can't be all that. after playing them, like, okay, they one of the best, top two, not two. We just happen to be the ones that fall short of what they had coming. So that's how I felt about it.
So you mentioned Oklahoma State and Bedlam, right? A game
Yeah.
that Oklahoma has traditionally owned, and a
Right.
game in which they needed to win to get into the Big 12 championship, and we've seen the repercussions of that. So how did you learn about Coach Riley leaving Oklahoma? I'll tell you how I learned. You tell me how you learned.
Okay, you want me to go first?
Please.
Okay, so yeah, like you said, like that game, history, Oklahoma dominates that series, that game, whatever. But every year it's a close game and whatnot. Actually, I had to flu that game. Like I was like sick bad that game. Like I don't know if you've seen any things on Twitter about it, but I was like sick bad. Like didn't practice Thursday or Friday. Met with the team Saturday at the hotel 2 hours before the game. So that wasn't my best performance overall. Just getting that out there, guys. So don't watch that game if you're trying to look at me. But outside of that, so the next day we have a team meeting at 2:00. And we never have team like a team meeting after a game. Like it's usually captains or leaders, after a game or such like that. If a game ended like that or so. And so, we have a team meeting. And we're like, okay, we're probably going on a little break since we don't play in the Big 12 championship or so. But so it's like we have a team meeting at 2:00, and it's like 1:45. I just pulled up to the parking lot. I get a phone call. I ain't gonna say the name who it was, but a very reliable source called me. He said, "Hey, where you at right now?" I was like, "We got a team meeting at 2:00." He said, "What's the meeting about?" I was like, "I don't know. Coach Riley just told us we got a meeting today." Then he said, "Coach Riley's going to USC." I was like, "No." I'm looking around. I don't see anybody reacting crazy. So I was like, either this guy, thinks he knows what he's talking about, or like, I got like the inside scoop. So I go in the training room shortly after. I see Caleb Kelly. I see Caleb Williams. I was like, "Hey, what y'all think this meeting is about? Y'all think Coach Riley leaving?" It was like, "Nah, last night he said he's not taking the head coaching job at LSU," which he did say that specifically. He said, "I'm not going to be the next head coach at LSU." So we're not even thinking that. So at this point, I'm like, man, I don't know if that was accurate. I was like, I'm the only one that knows this. And I tell Jalen Redmond, he like, nah. So next thing you know, we're in the players' locker room. I mean, we're in our meeting room. Then next thing you know, we're in the locker room, and at Twitter, Twitter's blown up at like 155, like 156, 157. Everybody's like, yo, it was like a lot of murmuring going around, people freaking out. And I'm like, I told you so. Like I got the plug. Like I'm that guy. If you need information, like let me know. Then joking around with him, and then it got serious. And Coach Riley came in there around 2:05. Then he said, "I'm sure you guys know, I'm taking the next head coaching job at USC." Then proceeded to talk for 5 or so minutes, and that was it. Yeah.
How did you take that?
So initially I was like, I didn't believe it at first when I got the phone call saying that. So when he told us, I was heartbroken, man. More so because how he left, not because he left. I understand it's a business. Opportunities present themselves. You tell me I'm whatever the circumstances was, I'm gonna get paid more, all this and that, family, all this and that. For sure, you're gonna take whatever, provides a better future for you and your family. But it's just more so how he left, telling us that he got the call after the game, thought about it overnight, slept on it, made the decision that day. So I was kind of rubbed us the wrong way. So, knowing the type of guy Riley was, it just wasn't him on how he did it. So the fact that he left, I'm totally fine with. Everybody has to make it. But like Brent Venables left Clemson, So when it comes to stuff like that, it's just how he left, not because he left. Because Riley always stood on the table for me, always had my back. Because I specifically remember many team meetings when he would point me out specifically. It was like, "Hey, IT, how many snaps did you play your first 3 seasons?" I was like, on the average, like 8 snaps a game at the end of the game, like mop-up time. And he was like, what did you do in 2020 and 2021? I was like 13 TFLs, 8.5 sacks, started every game, did this and that. Then coach was like, stick to this and that and stuff. So he always used me as an example in a positive way. So it was just mind-boggling how he left, knowing the type of guy he was.
Right fast. How long was that meeting? Do you remember?
Being honest here, about no longer than 6 minutes, man. 5, 6 minutes of him talking. Then after he left, Bob Stoops came, and president, all this, and they came. But for him speaking, 5, 6 minutes.
Man, look, I'm at the airport coming back from the Big Ten championship game, and my phone is blowing up as soon as I land about 1:30 Central Standard Time.
Yeah.
Going, RJ, tell me what is going on. And I'm going,
yeah.
What? So I check in with my folks, a couple of them on the team, and I learned what you learned. And I think we all found out at the same time, dog. Like, it's just been a surreal sequence of events. And I think everybody from Oklahoma agrees with you. It ain't that you left, it's how you left. Right?
100%.
Because there's a way that we get down, and that's not the way that we traditionally
right.
Man, we run up all the time. Isaiah, dog, I could talk to you all day. This has been so fun for me. Isaiah Thomas, former defensive lineman at the University of Oklahoma. He got these Big 12 championships rings that you should ask him about. And I hope to see you going on day one, the NFL draft.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks for watching this video. And remember, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos on the #1 Ranked Show YouTube channel.